Hello, welcome to our Thursday book launch. I'm Malika Albrecht, the founding editor of Redheaded Stepchild, and we are celebrating a second time. We have some prolific writers, not just excellent writers, but prolific. But Deborah Jang, and I'm going to do a brief introduction, and then I'm going to turn it over to Deborah. And I want to point out that the amazing abstract art behind Deborah is hers. She made that. So yeah, multi-talented, and you'll get to see some of that immense talent, not only in the poetry that she reads tonight, but also in some of the experiences she's curated for y'all. Deborah maintains both a writing and visual arts practice as a means of processing her place in and probing the permutations of the world at large, as well as at its most intimate. God, I really love even your bio. She is based in Denver, Colorado, and Oceanside, California. Her sculptural work has been shown across the United States and can be found in corporate and private collections, as well as in various community settings. Her debut book of poetry, which is what we celebrated during the pandemic, is Float True. And for those of y'all who were fortunate enough to be there for that, it was a stellar reading. And it came out right in March 2020. Deborah, I'm turning it over to you. Thank you so much for allowing us to celebrate your work again for a second time.
Well, thank you. Thanks, Malika. I think you're very gracious for hosting these book launches week after week. And to all of you who are Zooming in tonight, I appreciate your interest and support. And I look forward to hearing some of your readings in a bit. This little chapbook is Last Will and Best Guesses. It came out last September from Finishing Line Press, and it was largely written in the time of COVID, during those intense couple plus years with the virus and the lockdowns and the political, social traumas of that time, much of which continues to shape our world today. The cover image is a zinc etching by Denver artist Grant Williams. It's called Tightrope. And Grant also, he actually did the cover on Float True as well, the first book. So these two publications kind of bookend that period for me. Just imagine I'm the COVID, and this came out just as things were shutting down in the US. And Last Will and Best Guesses came out as things were relaxing a bit more. I wanted to acknowledge three people in particular. Susie Q. Smith is a local Denver treasure, nationally known poet, educator, and activist. And during that period, during the lockdown, she offered a writing workshop on Zoom. So her prompts instigated many of the poems in this book. And then Vogue Robinson from Las Vegas, she's the former poet laureate of Clark County. She offered an online editing series. And so some of these poems were workshopped and refined there. And Vogue wrote one of the blurb endorsements for the book. And then Kimberly L. Becker, who's with us tonight, was my mentor several years ago through AWP's Writer to Writer program. And her encouragement and guidance has been a great help as I've pursued this publication path. And I think Kimberly has 5 or 6 books of poetry published now. So I feel like I want to call her out and have her say hello. If she's open to that.
Thank you, Deborah. And I'm teared up right now, to be honest with you, because I'm just so ecstatic for you, all your achievements. And let me just say that all I did was walk with you. You had the voice, you had the vision. And so it was truly my privilege to be with you as you were developing your book. So thank you.
Oh, yeah, thank you for being here. We've never actually met in person. We've never shared molecules.
Not yet. Not
So
yet.
it's fun to share this space. And if we're lucky, maybe we'll hear from you, a poem from you later on.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay. As its title suggests, Last Will and Best Guesses is something like a meditation on mortality. Hopefully not too heavy or gloomy, but there was a lot going on to give one pause, and our lives had slowed such that we had lots of time to contemplate, and this is how many of us find our ways through such times, by writing about it. And so tonight I'll be sharing 8 of the 26 poems that are in the book. And I'd like to start off with a poem titled A Perfect Death. And I believe I shared this same poem when I was with you last time for Float True. And at that time, I guess I didn't anticipate being invited back. And but I knew this little chapbook was coming out. And so I previewed a couple of the poems then. And since that reading, it has changed a little bit, as happens in this business. So it's called A Perfect Death. When I die, let it not be a scene of tragic nor dramatic portions. No headline-making horror show. Not the granny pushed and battered. Not one among a massive murder, nor victim X of a serial killer, nor under knee of great protector, nor alone on ventilator. May it be a peaceful leaving, nighttime's tiptoed undertaking, or in tender consciousness, tucked between the waning breaths. May last goodbyes all be spoken, one by one, no regrets. With dignity, may I go gentle, may hair fall neatly and just right. No lingering excruciation. No false hoping for survival. No denying, face full forward, like the moon, steady knowing. Escorted by the mystery, beyond humanity's long plight into realms uncomprehended, onward with the best of them. Keep me warm, hold me tight, letting go a lifetime's measure, at rest at last, breaths, nothingness, nothing more, nothing less. Thank you. And here's a short one. I don't know how many of you tend to watch pots of water come to a boil, but I do sometimes, and it can be quite engaging. This is stovetop meditation. Low-growing chatter, run up to boil. Just below surface, a loudening churn. Steeped deep center, warm mist rises, eyes and air soften, mystery shows. I watch pots for signs and wonders when COVID skies go cold. Should tea leaves speak, I'd bend to listen. Every day I pray for wisdom at stovetop altar, now full royal, sacred cauldron, bubble, bubble, tending fire, blast of ages, quiet rapture, ancient smolder. And then another short one I call alienation. Alienation. dark-eyed stranger, bright, busy world, cacophonies and whirligigs, dazzling rapidities, voices deep that hem, then haw, teams triumphant holler. Looking on, she peers about, out far corners of each eye, winces at the heavy hand, the mad dash, the golden prize, the scramble and its aftermath, plans and schemes, reinvestments, a planet spinning off its axis, people pushing at their process, silent, stray. She plays along, smiles some, then moves on. Thank you. At my last reading here, I shared the little YouTube channel with you, and that's where I keep a few experimental poem videos tucked away. I remember at that time I told you I had 4 followers, and I think a couple of you signed on as subscribers after that because the numbers bumped up a bit, so thank you. And the last time I checked, which I seldom do, there were 10 followers. So I guess that's what you call progress. These videos are varied attempts to add media to the poems for a multi-dimensional expression and experience. And the first one is a poem in the book called Helpless. It was written during the initial days of COVID lockdowns in the US, when we really didn't have a handle on what was going on. People were dying alone on ventilators and in hospital hallways. Medical teams were short on protective gear. People were busy sewing masks. Dr. Fauci was on TV every night. We were washing our hands, singing happy birthday, wiping down mail and groceries. I remember fretting, wondering if I'd ever get to see my grandchildren again. Anyway, so all that is the context of this poem called Helpless. And there is a prop that accompanies the poem. It's an origami crane. You're probably familiar with these. I've folded many in my lifetime. And Malika's going to help me play this first video. So thanks, Malika, and I'll see you back here after the video. It's very short, so enjoy.
Helpless. Today in the pandemic, I folded paper cranes. It's something I know how to do when not much else makes sense or seems to really matter. Choose a pretty paper, match corners each to each, precisely and just so. Press hard along the fold line like there's no tomorrow. Once more for good measure. Today in the pandemic, I folded paper cranes for frontline heroes geared up in not much more than their brave care for the sick and dying. Valley fold, straight and clean, along diagonal, then half as much lengthwise again. Repeat now on the other side, turn inside corners up and out. Thank them for their service. Today in the pandemic, I folded paper cranes. It all came back. Where to tuck, how to finesse the paper bird, where to pinch and gather. I noticed that the folding hands had grown old and tattered, yet deft from years of hoping. This is where we mount and fold, go for crisp pointed corners, perfection overrated. Paper magic in the palm of your hand, spread wings gently outward. Repeat.
That was interesting. Wow, 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 wow.
Amazing.
Wow. Amazing.
Oh, thanks. That was that was the latest one I've done. Another reason I kind of wanted to do these videos was as a way to connect with others while we were stuck in our respective isolation modes. And it was a way of collaborating with friends and fellow poets. So if you peruse the channel, I think I put the link up top in the chat. You'll see credit given for various photos, images, musical contributions, and narrations. And in this next video, I put two existing poems together. One was by Susie Q. Smith, who I mentioned. Hers is called Writing a Will. And then my poem from the book is Hereby. And these were written at totally different times, but they seemed congruent in theme and mood. So I asked Susie if she would record hers, and then I recorded mine and pieced them together as if we were sharing from the same space. So it's Writing a Will and Hereby. Thanks again, Maleka.
Writing a will is less romantic than planning a funeral or hypothetically scattering ashes with each sweep of the broom.
Of sound mind and body whole, in perpetuity for now, hereby stuttered out in whispers lest the sorrows overbear, for too many rudely taken by disease, neglect, or gun, through this passage of brute blunder, absence riddles endless seasons.
It is brick and mortar legacy. Optimism feels like a lie, and hostages are dreamers swallowing cannonballs in chest.
Here the moment meets the morbid, while body bags line freezer trucks. At the brink of all that matters, by the twilight, let us gather either side of the river, tangle tears by cool waters, walk among them.
A will is a plan for the worst case scenario, not nearly as fun as a zombie survival guide or apocalyptic conspiracy theories. A legal statement for what to do when what-ifs have been exhausted. It is hard to write when heartbeats feel like they are counting down.
Wash the feet of heroes fallen, dry the eyes of caged children, bend a knee for lifetimes shattered, muffled, howling, hoarse to heaven, clutching earth, change forever.
I should have written this when I was well. It would have been funnier then.
Back to you.
Okay, well, thank you again for all that effort. And Susie is the one that I mentioned earlier who did the writing workshop in the summer of 2020. One of her first prompts and in that workshop was for us to write a bragging poem. So I remember thinking, what is this, something that I could brag about? And I came up with this called Bragging Rights. I excel at giving the evil eye. More than once I've been told, I can throw spears with a look, I'm told. I suppose it is my secret power, like the Incredible Hulk and his green hulky glower. It just happens sometimes, a spontaneous scowl from deep within, when I feel wronged or disrespected, or as I witness such treatment upon sisters and brothers. But more than a scowl, a shaft of disgust shoots straight out my eye into the soul of the unsuspecting offender who, with one glance, dismissed me as mild, who mistook the silence of one broken child, who has little regard for elders or women or any human darker than him. I dish it right back. I make them sweat, voodoo eyes burn through the bullshit of their desperate hour. I hope none of you ever get caught in the terrible path of my hard-driven frown that shrivels the balls of small, sorry minds. It seethes right through their legal pride, pierces their shame, inspires regret, makes them squirm under the gaze where grown men cower. Thank you. And I don't know if you are aware, but this month, the month of May, is officially Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander Heritage Month. And in that spirit, I offer these two poems. First, Ode to Yellow. You're from the yellow race, ain't ya? The whiskered man at the feed store seemed proud of his perception. A boxed neatly put me in, a color-coded novelty, othered in our difference, set aside for reference, or generally ignored, or treated as an enemy, we, the yellow peril, or denounced repeatedly as global viral blame. Autumn bursts bright yellow, splendor screams, vibrance keens, an earnest pigmentation preceding winter's bleak. Quaking aspen, honey locust, river birch, beech, me, fellow yellow hangers on, hello world, we're here. And this next one, I believe I also shared this one last time, but it bears repeating. It's called To My Bystanders. There is a epigraph from Associated Press that reads, people stand by during attack of elderly Asian woman. To my bystanders. Did you catch a whiff of lilac on that warm summer eve while we gathered at the bus stop, each wandering our mind? Out the corner of your eye, did you flinch? Did you see him rushing twilight, pushing rudely in? In a flash of recognition, did your stomach tell your throat what was going down? Did you see my toes curl fetal while I lay sideways on the concrete, stunned? Did you freeze in fear and horror? Did you look the other way? Did you reach down for your phone, or was it already in your hand? Were you scared to intervene? Did your silence cheer him on? Was it you who kneeled down and whispered something kind I didn't understand? Did you see my bruised face on TV? Did they say my name? Did they even try? And then this will be the last one that I read. I think it captures the common thread of consciousness that runs through the book, kind of an awareness of our fragility and brevity, and a kind of a coming to terms with that. And I want to assure you that even though this book unapologetically confronts death and mortality, I am still very much engaged. In fact, the older I get, the longer I hope to live. And I believe it is from this kind of awareness that our lives can take on deepen in meaning and vitality. And so thank you again, everyone, for your presence here. This is called Fade. I'm practically an ancestor, one foot in the shallows, the other salty deep. Yellowed pearly wisdoms, sinews stretched past spry. A barnacled demeanor, a head of graying whispers, a lifetime strewn on the path to who knows where or why. Sandbags stowed beneath the eyes hold remnants of the sorrow. Tomorrow is no guarantee. Children singing make me weep, as does the clarity of sky and all that shines bejeweled beneath. Thanks so very much.
Oh, wow. Thank you so very much. I can't wait for you to read what's in the chat section too. And if people want to unmute and just take a moment to say thank you, Deborah. And
Thank you,
I have
thank
to
you,
say,
thank you.
it was beautiful also to hear your thoughts between poems and the whole overarching brevity, and it was just beautiful. The awareness of our fragility and our brevity.
Mhm.
Powerful, Deborah. Thank you.
Oh, thanks, Teresa.
Deborah, it was so good hearing your voice reading these poems.
Thank you.
It was just really, really special.
And she and I talk a lot anyway, so.
It's lovely to hear the poet read, though. It is, particularly when they read in a way that has a power behind it, but then also such tenderness. I think that's a really I don't know if other people have that same thought, but hearing you read, I think there's so much power in that sense of justice, but there's also just this beautiful tender heart that notices so many details in a way. I wanted to ask you to read a couple of lines over again in the poem about yellow. I mean, the last 6 lines, the music just hits this crescendo that I'm like, how did she do that? It was just amazing. And I just wanted to hear him again so I could, just savor it. It was gorgeous. Yeah, gentle soul. That is beautiful, Peggy. And you are glad that she has that superpower. Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Okay. Just a couple lines or
Yeah, the last, the last 10 lines,
Mhm.
if you
Okay.
would.
Oh, autumn bursts bright yellow,
Yes.
splendor streams, vibrance keens, an earnest pigmentation preceding winter's bleak. Quaking aspen, honey locust, river birch, beech, me, fellow yellow hangers on. Hello world, we're here.
God. I mean, I get chills, physical, actual physical chills.
Oh,
And the gentle way the me is there is so powerful. I mean, it's just so powerful. Thank you. And thank you for reading it again. I don't know if other people had that same response, but there's something that really hits in my heart that is hard not to feel very deeply.
And I was so struck too, Deborah, because our early emails when you were working on your first book, you just had this beautiful way of these internal rhymes, and just your voice is so just exquisite. So again, I'm just tearing up this whole time listening to you, but that's such a gift, and it's such an honor to hear you read.
thanks, Kimberly.
Thanks, Deborah. Really beautiful. Thank you.
Does anybody have questions for Deborah, about process or the poems that she read tonight? Or are we just all awestruck and just want to spend a moment clapping? That's okay too.
Deborah, can you hear me? It's Candy.
Hi.
Hi. I just wanted to say that watching you fold the crane made me cry.
Oh, okay.
Your hands are so beautiful, Deborah, and I just love you to bits.
Oh.
So I just want you to know that.
Oh, thank you. Candy and I worked together for many, many, many years.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, thank you, Candy.
Yep.
It's a maker's hands. They get, there's more in them, more history, more story, more everything. Same with your work. Someone younger couldn't have written it, and it's so beautiful and so deep. And the arc of the story and the reading, could you say something about how you did that? Like the choice of what order to do the reading in was really, really wonderful.
Geez, I'm not sure. I think I wanted to start off kind of general and end general, but then wanted to insert the, the more strident ones in there also. So, yeah. It's interesting. It was interesting deciding which ones to choose. I noticed I tended to choose some of the shorter ones. I don't know why. I think maybe I was concerned about holding people's attention or something like that,
Well, fret not, that will not be an issue, but
Right, never going to be an issue.
yeah.
Definitely not.
Do you have a daily practice?
Um,
What is your writing practice like, I guess is what I'm asking.
Yeah, it tends to be, I mean, I try to do something about it every day, but the actual writing itself, it's a little spurty. Yeah.
Deborah, I think it was so powerful to take the term yellow and reclaim it with the beautiful images and the soft, sweet voice confronting, the racial and the greeting you had at that store. It was just so powerful, but the power was in your gentle approach to it and reclaiming the concept. It's a very powerful nonviolent tool, and may we all be so eloquent when we are othered.
Right.
Well, I was practicing reading out loud and I kept thinking, gosh, my voice is just so soft. So I really tried to put some oomph behind it. I hope some of that came across.
I would say with the bragging poem, we heard you. I love that poem, by the way. I just love it. There's an oomph in, I mean, it is a superpower to be able to, look at somebody and send that thought of, I mean, it's basically a how dare you, wow.
That's how I do the television sometimes. Yeah.
Teresa just wrote, the words are your oomph. I agree. That's fabulous. We could almost all use a t-shirt like that. My words are my oomph. That's funny.
How do you know if something is meant to be a poem or work of visual art? And how do you know when you're going to combine it like you did with the beautiful crane poem? I'm just so fascinated.
Yeah, I still haven't quite pinned down that integration of the two forms, but so it happens almost by accident sometimes. I think these videos are maybe a little venture into, putting it intentionally together. But yeah.
Deborah, I am so excited to see you. I actually got in here late because I tried to get in exactly at 4, but I couldn't, or I got in late, and then I thought I couldn't get in, and then I got in, and then so I missed much of it. So I apologize. But
I think they recorded, so
I'll watch it again. But it was because I've known you for a long time, and in some ways, but I thought when I read your poetry, how brave you were in then putting this writing, but it was just, I know how soft you are, but it was very strong. Like there was a strength to it that, and as you say it out loud, it is softer because you do have a soft voice, but in the writing, it just felt like it resonated, like it was really powerful. And it here too, but it's in a different way.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Tony.
Yeah.
I've heard you read several times now,
Mm-hmm.
and it's stronger and stronger. And there was so much authority without, not pushing. It was just, this is strong. I'm strong. I have something to say. And you didn't have to tell us it was important. It just felt important.
Good. Thank you, Shamala.
Yeah, I think that's I have to say, there is, I can see why this book is getting so much praise. And I do think that the first reading was fabulous, but this one, I just felt like your comfort level is right there from my standpoint. You just are very comfortable. It's lovely. And it's
Wonderful.
such powerful work.
So good to hear all your comments. I really appreciate that affirmation. Yeah, that's my heart good too.
Good. Let's take a moment to clap. Yes, it was just, thank you so very much. That was, and thank you for bearing with me with my technical lack of abilities.
Yeah, you could have done better than me, much better than I. That's why I asked you to do it. I
Yeah.
fumbled down with that stuff.
It's, I mean, there are so many tricks, and I could probably ask my my teenager to figure it out and it'd be fine. I just don't have that gene, Are there any more questions, any more comments that we want to give Deborah, or people ready for open mic?
I'm ready for open mic.
Okay, we'll head in that direction. I am going to go by the list, and just to Christy, I'm coming to you. I'm going to pause recording towards Laura. I'll remember to unmute.
Did you say Laura?
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, please. Thank you.
I was like, you broke up, and I'm like, I'm not sure I heard my name. Okay. This was a honorable mention in the Thomas H. McDill Award for this year's North Carolina Poetry Society contest, and it's called The Sound of Perfume. I can still smell the air thick with the scent of King Edward's. Cigars my grandfather smoked before one lung was lost, his larynx stolen. I remember the smoke, but not the sound of his voice before he croaked a warning at us for climbing the chestnut tree to reach the roof of the chicken coop, rotting beneath neat green shingles. Thank you.
Yes, that's fabulous. I love that poem. And I think you did read it once before here,
I think
but
I have
really
read it
wanted
here.
Yeah, I wanted to hear it again, and congratulations. Not a surprise that it was, honored and is now published in Pine Songs. Shamala, I'm coming to you. And I know my internet's super laggy today. Sorry, guys.
I'm unmuted, right? Yeah. It's a short little piece. It's called sort of related to the theme of Deborah's book, I guess, because it's on aging a bit. It's called August Rose, but I wrote it 10 years ago, so maybe I should call it September Rose now. And it's a shape poem, so it looks like that.
Huh.
The words falling down the page. September Rose. New England highway by the sea. Ocean, but in New England it is only sea. See? Absence of fuss. The road winding, scenic, seeing, there's time enough. No need for haste. On the cliff slope falling into ocean, looking over, drawn by heady seduction of sweet late August fragrance. See? Blankets of soft red stars, wild roses holding on with thorns, the cliff too steep to reach over or up or down. See? Holding on, refusing to believe in fall. And then there are the words falling anyway.
Yeah. That's fabulous. Leslie? And remember to unmute. I'm coming your way.
Okay. I had 3 pieces about the COVID. As I understood, it was the theme kind of today. And this one is was part of this group right now, SF Essential Truths. So the Bay Area in color, edited by Shezue Siegel. It's called When I Am Spent. Life as we know has ended. Systems come crashing down. All motives come under scrutiny. Fear and doubt loom large. Into my 7th decade of life, will I be forgotten? Did my life really matter? Did I make a difference? Did I tell everybody I love them? Did I squander my time in the shadows, in the same damn stories? Why keep wallowing in the dark side? Aren't I sick and tired of the bullshit? Can I forgive myself and forge new thoughts? Can I swallow the bitterness of regrets, pushing myself uphill to new vistas? Thinly disguised attempts to keep connected, finding us both just flapping our lips. There's a sense of urgency to tie up loose ends. Black becomes white, white becomes black. Colors lose their luster and all collapse into a dull gray. How I long for real, not fake news. When did I become obsolete? Feeling I'm being swallowed down an hourglass funnel into the dark, endless pit inside of me, crumbling into grains of sand, melting into molten glass by icy flames, cooling and then shattering into shards. With all its jagged edges, I cling to those shards. My fingers bleed as I frantically try to glue the shards back together. Those fragments of self lost forever. Should I let go and free fall into freedom from pain and despair? Or will it be just more of the same? What happened to my joy for life? In my room at first light illuminates most motes of dust, ash, skin cells, suspended in artificially charged air. And yet my crystals emit glorious rainbow sparks to dance, distracting my mind with spiritual drumming, delving into uncharted vistas of molecules, faraway galaxies and internal dimensions, while being held hostage by a minuscule virus. Yet my heart silently screams, choose life, new reflections, new directions. Do I have the courage to escape the prison of my mind, to be reborn with renewed resilience? Thank you.
Thank you so very much. I also have to ask, what is behind you on the green screen? It's
This is a little kind of wall quilt that I painted and
it's
quilted
amazing.
together.
It's amazing.
Oh no, I can't. I'm in the way.
No, it's amazing.
Anyway,
I mean,
thank you.
I mean, it's just it's beautiful. I just love it. Thank you for that added treasure to while you're reading.
Thank you. It's a little. It's about this. It's a little, and it's I did it several decades ago, and it was like in my meditations when I was starting my spiritual studies. That was like my special, I guess, interdimensional place of where
sanctuary.
it's an ocean. It's a river blending into the ocean, but I'm like in front of it. So
yeah, I mean the poem was very powerful, but I
Yeah.
also just had to mention that because it had its own energy, and I was like, I have to ask. I thought you had made it, Leslie. Thank you. Yes.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Woo, fabulous. And thank you for answering that question. Somebody had asked Shamala if C and C, were playing on words, because that was what we suspected. Thank you so much. And last but not least, let's come to our dear friend Kimberly. I just want to hear your voice.
Okay. Well, I had two little short ones too.
Oh, does someone else want to go?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't
I
realize.
lost space.
Yeah,
I have to get,
I'm sorry. How
that's
about
okay.
this? Let's give everybody a chance to read a poem and
Sure.
then
Sure.
we can stay a little bit later if people want
Sure.
to. That would be fabulous. I'll come to you, Kimberly, and then I'll come back to you. I'm sorry, Leslie, I misunderstood.
That's okay. That's okay.
Oh, thank you so much. And again, such a pleasure and privilege to hear you read, Deborah. I'm inspired by your poems of witness. So I will share a poem from my latest book with art by my son, who's a poet and artist in Baltimore. The title is Bringing Back the Fire, and it's based on a traditional Cherokee story of the water spider, the least of the animals who brought back fire to the people. And so I'll just share a poem called Can You, My Love? You are more than the sum of what has happened to you. Your scars tell the story of outward hurts, but what of the heart? Its truculent beat has persisted thus far through the blood-remembered loss of land and language, through personal harms. You have lost a lot, but others never had as much. The sickness of plague is easy to read as the outward and visible sign of the sickness of racism rotting this country, founded on genocide, built on slavery. We can never get well without the bravery of protest, without the vulnerability of shared story, without the healing power of ceremony, without the perseverance of love in the face of hate. But these are all generalities. The question is, can you, my love, arise with unhardened heart and give thanks for a day of unknowns? Can you heal what you can within yourself so that you become a purer vessel for the change we need to seek? Thank you so much.
Ah, that is gorgeous and powerful.
Thank you, Kimberly.
And I love that Alex did the art. It's, fabulous. That just makes me happy though. Well, thank y'all so much. Laura, I saw you wipe a tear. I love your sweetheart. Yeah. If people need to go, I certainly understand, but I'm going to return to Leslie. We will hear those last two poems, and I want to thank everybody. And Deborah, thank you so very much. And it was wonderful to see everybody. It was wonderful to be in your good company.
Thank you, Malika.
Thank you. And Leslie, I'm coming to you.
Okay. This was a part of a collaboration with Right Now SF, and it was where we would have two artists share a piece of paper and put a piece of artwork or a poem, and it was called Talking to Strangers. Yes, this is an artist made this beautiful dragon. Sorry, it's coming in and out. Okay. My first poem is called Today. Today I will brave the outdoors. Today I will not falter. Today I will use my fine china. Today I write my heart's desires. Today I will reach out with a phone call. Today I will just show up. Today is a brand new day to release and receive. Today I count my blessings despite the world in turmoil. Today I'm determined. Today will not be yesterday's sorrow. Today I raise up my selenite sword, powered by divine light. Today healing on borrowed time, living on borrowed land. Today I'll be brave. Today I will remember I am third daughter and first American born of 3 generations of immigrants from 12 generation descendants of General Li Chao Mu, Kaifeng City, Hainan Province, China, Northern Song Dynasty, 960 to 1125. The second poem is called Checklist. Car keys, cell phone, spiked wrist guards, face mask, mini alarm, COVID card, photo ID, mace, water bottle, antibacterial spray, stabbing stick optional, taser gun cleverly disguised as a flashlight, glimmers of hope tucked away in my bag. A peaceful warrior am I, grounded with a positive attitude, embodied by divine protection, armed and dangerous. Breathe and bless. Breathe and bless. Breathe and bless.
Ooh,
Thank
Leslie,
you. And
thank
here's a
you.
little picture of my stuff in my purse.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's fabulous. Yeah, breathe and bless. Yeah, stabbing stick optional. Oh, you all are fabulous. Thank you so very much. Be well.
Thank you too. Thank you,
Hope to
everybody.
see y'all again on a Thursday.
Thank you, Malika.
Deborah.
Makes my
Thank
week.
you,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Thank
Wonderful.
Thank you, Malika.
Bye,
And thank
guys.
you